Miss Bonnie. Please ignore that I am looking like Miss Sweaty Spaghetti. Today I'm here to do the mid-year book freakout tag. This is one of those classic booktube tags that comes around every year because you can do it every year with different answers. I thought this year it was especially appropriate because I am indeed freaking out. The world is a mess. My reading life is a mess. We're just gonna smile through the pain. I'm literally so hot. Let's just get into these questions. Question number 1 is best book that you've read so far in 2020. This would have to go to a book that I actually just read. It's in my previous vlog, We're Okay by Nina LaCour. This just hit all the right spots. Got me emotional. Beautiful writing. Sapphic. Amazing. What can I say? If you haven't read this, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Question number 2 is best sequel you've read in 2020. Hands down, this is going to Kingsbane by Claire Legrand, which is the sequel to Furyborn. Not only was this a 5 out of 5 star amazing read, but as a sequel, it just raised the bar so much from the first book. I loved her. I have so many tabs. I'm terrified for the next and final book that comes out at the end of this year. Question 3 is a new release you have not read yet but want to. I have 3 for this question. First is the Happily Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. I absolutely loved Abby's first book, which was The Friend Zone. It was probably my favorite romance that I read last year, so obviously I would like to read this one. Also really want to read Beach Read, another romance that has just been getting a lot of hype this year, and one that's surprising to me because I heard about this book, you know, when it was like announced and stuff, but I wasn't super feeling it because YA contemporary and me, we don't really get along anymore. Only rarely will I read a YA contemporary that like really knocks it out of the park. But I really do want to read You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson because everyone's been talking about this book and saying that it's really good. Plus I have a video idea to go along with it, so like. Number 4 is your most anticipated read for the second half of the year. Again, I'm giving you 3. The Damned by Renee Ahdieh, which is the sequel to The Beautiful, which if you have been watching my channel, you know that bitch tore me up and I loved it. Second one is The Camelot Betrayal by Kirsten White, which is the sequel to The Guinevere Deception, which again tore me up. And last, kind of just mentioned it, is Lightbringer by Claire Legrand, which is the last book in the Imperium trilogy, whatever it's called. I'm so scared. I'm so excited. I'm so scared. Question number 5 is your biggest disappointment. For me, that's gotta be Undercover Bromance by Alyssa K. Adams. I read both this book and the first book in this series, which is The Bromance Book Club. I loved The Bromance Book Club, but I did not like Undercover Bromance. It was not it for me. Couldn't get into the characters, and I am such a character-based reader. It was just a no for me. It was a no for me. My biggest surprise might even be surprising to y'all, but it's The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. As y'all know, you can't see it, my Hunger Games shelf is up here. I'm a stan, but I was very, very nervous for this book. I mean, President Snow, add-ons in general tend to be but I love this book. I gave it 5 stars. The stan in me just enjoyed all of the information, how so many things in this connect to what we know in the original trilogy. I was just screaming, and it never tried to like make Snow a good guy. Like not once in this book was he redeemable. I know a lot of people didn't like it. They thought it was boring, but that's fine. I will take this, it's mine. Question 7 is your favorite new author. I'm going to give this to Sarah Hogel, who wrote You Deserve Each Other. First of all, this book said Wisconsin rights. Can I get a hallelujah? This was a romance book that's kind of like lovers to enemies to lovers. They're in an established relationship, but kind of wanting to call things off before they get married. And so they start pranking each other to try to get one of the other to like break things off. And it was so cute, so witty, really refreshing writing. And this was Sarah Hogel's debut, so I am super excited to see what she puts out in the future. I'm gonna talk about the next 2 questions together. It's newest fictional crush and newest favorite character. Now, crush might be like a little bit of like an overstatement, only because I believe this character is 20, and like as a 25-year-old, I don't want to be weird. But Audric from the Furyborn series, I love him so much. He's not even like, our narrators are like the 2 women in each of the timelines because this book follows 2 different timelines. But Audric, he's a prince. I have a thing for princes. And he's just so sweet and supportive, and when they have sexy times, he knows what he is doing. I love him so much. And the last book is called Lightbringer, and Audric is the Lightbringer, and I'm probably gonna have an emotional breakdown. So if I'm not okay in October, that's why. Question 10, a book that made you cry. Hate to repeat myself again, but I've only read like 25 books this year. Ooh. But it's We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. Because like I said, this is a hard-hitting, emotional contemporary. And yeah, I was making it through this book pretty well without crying. But then I just got to this one line and I literally started crying, was like holding the book like this. Ugh, I shouldn't have done that, I'm too sweaty. But yeah, this was... Question 11 is a book that made you happy, and sadly this was hard for me to pick one out. But after going through the books that I've read this year over and over, I finally decided on Me by Elton John, which is his like memoir biography thing. I love Elton John. He's one of my favorite artists of all time. I really was raised listening to his music, and I loved learning about his life. I thought it was so fascinating to see the places he's gone and all of the things that he's overcome. I love him. I love Elton John so much. Number 12 is favorite book to film adaptation you've seen this year. Don't know if I've watched any film adaptations, but I did watch the Little Fires Everywhere TV show, and I thought it was excellent. The actors took on their roles so well. Certain story elements went in different places, but I enjoyed them for the most part, and I think it was just excellently done. If you haven't seen it, it is streaming on Hulu. Question 13 is your favorite review that you've like written or filmed. I have to say my video I did on Crave was my favorite. It was just a lot of fun to read a like trashy book and then vlog my whole experience. And funnily enough, you know, the saying all press is good press is really true sometimes, because there are people that watch that video, I'm like, this is horrible, but I'm entertained, but it's horrible. And I get comments like, oh my god, I had to stop watching this because you made me want to read it. I'm just like, I made you want to read it? Okay. I don't know who published Crave, but hit me up because I'd be helping you. Question 14 is the most beautiful book you've bought this year. I have not really bought many books this year. I would say maybe my Waterstones edition of Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, just because this is like the UK cover. It's a little prettier, I think, than the US. But underneath here, it's yellow. It's got snakish snake. It's got this beautiful ribbon. So this honey is quite gorgeous. Runner up, I would say, is this copy of The Last Wish, which is like the first-ish book in the Witcher series. It's not gonna match the rest of them, but it's more aesthetically pleasing. Finally, question 15 is the book that you need to read by the end of the year. I'm sure I have a lot of answers for this, but the one I'm going with the most is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I've been meaning to read this for years. Whitney has been pressuring me to read this for years, and if I don't, she's probably gonna kidnap me and read it to me out loud. So that was the mid-year book freakout tag. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know some of your answers to the questions in the comments. I would love to know. Until then, I'll see you in my next video.